should be very, very careful about going out and creating other conflicts of interest during their term of service. And so, for example, we prohibit legislators from accepting positions on boards of directors where their status as a legislator is the fundamental reason for their appointment in that position, and where they receive private compensation for that service. The thing we're trying to address and prevent is corporations using board service as an additional inducement for legislators to vote the way that corporation would like to see the legislature vote, and we think that's just not an appropriate conflict. We have also provided a series of prohibitions on what we choose to call abuse of office. We believe it's an abuse of office for a legislator, for example, to threaten a judge about a case that that judge has pending or has acted upon. Similarly, we believe it's inappropriate for a legislator to make a recommendation to the governor that the director of a state agency who is investigating a friend of that legislator for criminal conduct should be fired because the legislator is unhappy that the investigation is going forward. Those kinds of abuses of power we think are inappropriate. We have provided a number of protections for legislators. We've provided that a legislator who is uncertain whether specific facts would represent a violation of the code of conduct may go to the commission and request a safe harbor opinion. And on the basis of that opinion, if the commission finds there is no violation of the code of ethics, the legislator cannot be charged with a violation if he follows the opinion of the commission. I could go on, but I'm recovering ground that some of you have already been through, and I don't want to do that. So the third thing that our initiative does is provide a set of procedures which are intended to provide for transparency. All of these proceedings, with the exception of a preliminary hearing, are to be conducted on the record, in public, and the results, the findings and recommendations of the commission are to be made public, and then they would go forward on an advisory basis to the Speaker of the House or the President of the Senate for such further disciplinary action as those bodies may determine to be appropriate. This commission has no power to discipline or punish anyone. It's purely advisory, and it has been carefully structured. We've tried to draw this bill as carefully as we could, because we did not want to find ourselves in a position where, having gone to all of this work, and the people who are interested in accomplishing ethics reform go to all of the work of gathering signatures only to find it held unconstitutional. We think we have satisfied the constitutional requirements in a responsible way. We haven't found cases that lead us to believe that there's any basis for any of the provisions we have included within the bill to be held unconstitutional by a court in this state. And so we're confident that we have a good proposal, and that it will do more than has ever been done before to bring a greater sensitivity to ethical conduct within the state legislature than it has seen for a number of years. And with that, I'll conclude my discussion and invite any of you who wish to make a comment to please do so or raise a question.
Looks like I got way behind. I didn't know this was all spelled out. Okay.
Kevin Clyde, again from Moab, and I have a few comments to make. I've said before that I'm appalled that we need this kind of an initiative to be made. And I recall one of my favorite characters from Angela's Ashes, whose name was Hoppy O'Halloran, and he was the headmaster of the school that Frances McCourt attended. And he would say to his boys in the 5th grade, "There is great ignorance in this world." And I think that there's great ignorance in the state of Utah for we as a populace to allow this to continue. I believe there's great ignorance in the thought that legislators would think it was okay to wield this kind of influence and to collect this kind of money and to have this kind of power within a state. Hoppy O'Halloran would say to his 5th graders, "Stock your minds, boys, stock your minds." So when these kinds of questions come up, you'll find that there's something in there for you to reason with. I have read 3 articles in the newspaper this past week of responses or opinions from executive and legislative people. And once again, I'm appalled. The headline on the first article was talking about the governor, how the governor pans ethics reform in Utah. And basically, he just shrugged it off as being a non-issue. This was particularly troublesome to me because I am a stockholder in a very large Utah corporation who it was announced in the same newspaper nearly a month ago that we had given the governor $30,000 for his election campaign. The people that manage our company, I respect and believe they're great contractors and businessmen. But it just makes me wonder why it is we're giving the governor, in his first week or so in office, $30,000 to carry on his new campaign. It just smacks of non-ethical behavior. I'm not saying it's illegal, and I don't say these guys are bad, neither the governor nor the people who offered him the contribution. But it makes me wonder why it is we're giving so much money to one person, and what kind of influence we're trying to, attain. I don't understand it, and so it's very troublesome to me. Another concept that has come to mind is if a corporation that is owned entirely by foreign owners is operating within the state of Utah, I can't imagine that we as a populace or the legislature themselves could sit still if a foreign corporation could wield this kind of influence. And I remember Adnan Khashoggi, I think his name was, who started hazardous waste disposal in the West Desert of Utah. And I remember this question coming up around his business practices. I don't remember why it is exactly that he left, but I remember that he left the state. And but yet they're still disposing of waste in the West Desert, and it's very controversial right now, the kinds of things that are going in there. So once again, that is troublesome to me. As I think of what ethics are, it's not that they're laws, but it's a code of beliefs and of behavior that I can think of 2 concepts with it. One is that it comes from training or teaching as you grow up and as you begin to develop who you are. Could come from religious leaders, could come from school leaders, could come from parents, could come from other associations, whether it's the VFW or the Kiwanis Club. But these people claim to, and I believe that they want to behave ethically. So those ethics come from those places. The second concept is that ethics need to be reviewed from time to time. And something that is wielding influence today and might be completely ethical may not be ethical any longer in 10 years. And so these things need to be constantly be reviewed. And so I'm very glad that